This is The Speaking Show. I'm David Newman, and you're tuned in to the #1 podcast for speakers, consultants, and experts who want to speak more profitably. Do you want to get paid to speak? Well, you are in the right place. I have Laura Lewis of CouchToPodium.com. Welcome to The Speaking Show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So this whole couch to podium thing, what does that mean? How did that come about? Give us a little bit of a thumbnail sketch of your professional journey that brought you to your work that you're doing today.
Sure, absolutely. So I started as a therapist, and I have a private practice called Atlanta Couple Therapy. And it got to the point where I was totally full, like I couldn't take on any more one-on-one clients. But I wanted to still work with people. And so that's when I turned to speaking as another way to still serve people and reach a broader space. And so moving from the one-on-one model to more of the one-to-many. And then the more I got started with that, then other therapists would ask me how'd you get started with speaking? And so then I would kind of just share tips inside my DMs, different therapists would reach out to me of how'd you get started speaking? And so after that, I was like, why don't I just create a space where we're all here together? And so then Couch to Podium was born.
Now, Couch to Podium, and that's a very clever name, obviously, because originally it was for therapists, right, who want to get on stage and do, kind of market their practice or help more people, reach more people, spread their message. There's also a running training app called Couch to 5K. If you want to run your first 5K race, right? Did you name that after something specific or no?
No, it really started with working with therapists, and then other people started to reach out that had a transformative message that really focused on inspiration and motivational speaking. And so it grew out of that. But that's interesting. That's something I have to look at.
So Couch to 5K is about get off the couch and then start training incrementally to get to the place where you can run a 5K road race.
Oh, cool. Huh.
But I like your Couch to Podium better because I don't like doing 5K road races, and I do like being on the podium, and I do like speaking. So that's cool. Now, let's talk about there's two different branches, big picture, macro level, two different branches of the speaking world. There is fee-paid speaking, right, where you get paid a couple $1,000s to the sky's the limit for a big association, big conference, big keynote. And then there's the speak to sell model, where we don't get paid for speaking, but we get paid because we spoke. So where does your background intersect those two worlds? And then where have you landed as really the sweet spot for what you like to do and for what you like to teach?
Great questions, David. So I usually speak more for a fee, but since COVID, I have been looking more at virtual audiences. And with virtual audiences, what I found that has worked really well is kind of back of the room sales. And with the back of the room sales, it's more of a free engagement or a waived fee engagement, but then I'll make money on the back end.
So tell us a little bit about the back of the room offers. What kinds of things can people sell in the back of the room? What kinds of things have you experimented with? And then let's also talk about what to do on the stage when you're making that offer so that we don't feel sleazy or slimy or weird.
Okay, so when it comes to making a back of the room offer, a lot of times what I found is just really building a connection with the people that I'm supposed to be working with. So part of building a connection is sharing past experiences, past experiences that I've had, past experiences of the results that my clients have gotten. And so really people can kind of see themselves in that experience. And then also what I found is having some type of time sensitive offer so that these are some special bonuses that people get live in person or live virtually. And then at the end of that experience that, it goes away. And so having some time limited offer so people feel all right, I'm ready to take action now.
Excellent. Let's pop over into the fee paid speaking world. Of course, this world has turned crazy, upside down, shaken, stirred, all kinds of nuttiness with no live events, and things are postponed and things are going virtual. Other things are canceling. The good news, and I think you might be experiencing this also, is that they are booking things now well into the middle of 2021. So that, people I'm talking to, like, oh man, next June, I am jam packed. I'm going crazy in June, but they're looking at, the next 8, 9, 10 months of not much happening until June of 21. What are you doing now in this environment to get those paid speaking engagements that you mentioned? How are those sales conversations happening? And please, 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 can you help us get over this whole sales phobia?
Yeah, I definitely think that, for a lot of people, it's a fear of sales. When I was in high school, I worked as a marketing sales rep. And so I would call and people would curse me out, like, why are you calling? And I would just be so nervous. And then after a while, though, I figured out it was really a numbers game. So the more people that I called, the more I made. And so I took that same approach into marketing myself as a speaker, is first creating a list of those organizations that need what I have to offer. And so I think that that's important, is making sure that you're talking to the right people. And then after you have cultivated a good list, getting on the phone and talking to them really about what their needs are. What do they see as like issues that their organization is facing? So it's really a conversation about assessing need and seeing like, how can I support them in achieving that need? And then once I get a sense of just really listening to what the need is, then it puts me in a better position to be able to make an offer that feels like it's going to be a good offer for them and then also make sense for me.
So I'm just channeling folks listening to us, and they're saying, wow, Laura seems so confident. She says, just pick up the phone and call them. Now, here's what they're thinking. Like, she doesn't mean call them. She means like send an email or find them on LinkedIn or send them a puppy or do anything that would delay and procrastinate this telephone conversation. Are you actually saying that your preferred first contact is some sort of voice call?
No, like a lot of people are scared to get on the phone. And sometimes it's fear of getting on the phone because you're not sure about the reaction. And sometimes it's fear of getting on the phone because you're not sure of like the value that you bring to that conversation. And so that's why I think market research is so like great, so that okay, this is the event that they're having, or this is what their mission is, the mission of the organization. These are what they need, so that like when you get on the phone first, it is gathering information of, when are y'all in the planning stages of your upcoming event? Who is the person that's the right person to speak to about being a speaker for this event? So you're not going into a full sales pitch on that initial call, but those initial steps is just kind of gathering information so that all right, they are the right person and that they are in the planning stages. And also knowing that it is a long-term game. I love what you said, Dave, about like, it may be next year, but that doesn't mean that you can't still make money, because I get deposits on, my speaking engagements. And then also there are speaking engagements that I have booked that were live, that they're transitioning into virtual. And then I also position myself as being able to provide that as a service. Like, okay, if you still want to have this event, let me support you on making it virtual. I'll just send you a Zoom link, and all your participants have to do is just click this little link here. I will manage the whole process. So then I still get paid, I still get my fee, and they're still able to provide the service to their organization.
Hey, good looking. Are you currently getting paid to speak? Would you like to ramp that up? We can help. Book a confidential speaker strategy call with our team at doitmarketing.com/call, and let's see what we might do together. The call is free, but the results may be priceless. What kind of fees are you seeing in this crazy kind of no holds barred, kind of crazy environment where some people are going, oh, you really have to slash your fee because it's virtual. You have to cut your fee because it's Zoom. Other people completely sticking to their guns and saying, hey, listen, the fee is the fee is the fee. If it was $5,000 before, it's $5,000 now. In fact, you're saving money because you're not buying food for everyone. You're not flying them in. There's no hotel. There's no pipe and drape. There's no lighting. There's no music. There's no tack. There's no union fees, whatever. So, for me to be $5,000 this way versus $5,000 in person, the whole event's a whole lot cheaper for you anyway. Are people dropping the price? Should they drop the price? What does that negotiation look like?
It depends on a few variables. Like my range, it could go anywhere from like $1,000 to $3,000, but it depends on like the virtual event. Is it gonna be an all-day situation? Is it gonna be me doing like a 45-minute situation? And it also depends for me on whether it's a passion project. Like, for example, if there is a speaking engagement and it's in my niche and I have already done a whole bunch of topic, like I've spoken on this a lot, then it's much easier for me to come in and just kind of do my thing versus I'm cultivating a specific training for their audience, and I have to do a lot more legwork to produce it. So I like to ask a lot of questions just to kind of gauge, like, what are they really needing? Like, if they're needing like a full day training, then of course that's going to be more of my time. And so I have to make sure that the investment of my time is just going to, make sense. So yeah, those are some of the variables that I would ask about. But also positioning is important, like positioning the value of what you have to offer. I think that is so important. And so some of what you said of like, okay, you don't have to fly me in. My normal fee would include a flight and a hotel. But for now, like that's waived doing it virtual. And sometimes you can also position licensing deals so that they can have access to that recording. So the answer is it depends on, some of those different variables.
Let's talk about licensing for a second, because I think, before we would have a little clause in the contract. Yes, you can record. No, you can't record. You can record, but it's a 50% in addition to my keynote fee. Mm-hmm. Now, because everything is recorded, or at least everything is broadcast on a recordable medium, are you seeing in your own business and with your clients, are a lot more of these licensing things happening because they do want to show it after the event? They want to show it to employees who couldn't make it. They want to show it to employees in other parts of the country or other parts of the world. And how do you think about these licensing deals, and what kind of pricing or what kind of percentage premium do you recommend?
For me, the licensing deals have ranged. Like I have one company that I work with and it's a 20% because I'm not involved at all in the process. Like they just put it on their website. They make it available to the people in their association. And then every time someone watches it, then like I get a percentage of that. It just depends. And then recently I did a like joint webinar with someone and we split it 50-50. It was to their audience. I showed up and just kind of did my thing and did my topic. And then we just split the proceeds. So it kind of depends also on what that person is bringing, to the table. They're bringing a list and you just have to show up, then that's one rate. And then if you're doing, joint marketing for a virtual event, then, I think that's a different rate because then you're more involved in some of the promotion of the event.
Right, for sure. Now, I want to go back just a couple of minutes in our conversation because you had some really good strategies about asking the meeting planner or the executives in charge of planning the conference, hey, what are your goals? What are your members going through? What does your team want? What does your team need? What are some of the pain points? It sounds to me, based on that you're doing a lot of prospecting and relationship building in the association market with association meetings and association conferences. Mm-hmm. Do you ever directly approach companies, or are associations really where you focus most of your time?
It's kind of a mix. So some of the main places that I have found that have a budget for paying speakers are corporations. Like corporations tend to have more of a like line item on their budget for like investing in training for their speakers. And then for me, that's reaching out to human resource managers, human resource directors, VPs of human resources in the company, and then talking about how this can affect change in their corporation.
So I want to talk about this because we've had a whole bunch of guests on the show. Some people love HR. They love HR. They get booked by HR all the time. Other people say, HR, oh no, that's the last place you should go. Never go to HR. HR is just a rubber stamp. You want to go to the executives. You want to go to the line managers. HR can say no, but they cannot say yes. Obviously, the truth is somewhere in the middle. What's been your experience? Because literally, I mean, I've got, multiple six-figure speakers that say, oh, I spend all my time loving on HR. And I've got other multi-six-figure speakers and guests who say, oh, I avoid HR like the plague. Sounds like you've unlocked some of the keys to working with the human resources executives. What are they looking for? How do we talk to them as a decision maker? And, how do we surface who the real decision maker is if it's not HR?
It depends on like what you're looking to do, like what your actual talk is about, and then what is the value that comes to their employees as a result of that training. Some of the things can be around like leadership development. I think having a message that's sensitive to the times that we're in is important. So when you're talking about like working in a virtual space and how do you increase productivity with employees that you can't physically see, that's been a lot of my work. So it's been more about either increasing productivity, increasing revenue. So it's something that as a result of them having training on stress management, on time management, how that's going to impact their bottom line. And I think having a message that can fit into those spaces makes it more of a appeal to corporations or more of a message for human resources versus if you have a message more about like marketing and sales and you might reach out to the sales department. But as a psychologist, a lot of my messaging has been in those areas. So human resources have had more of an affinity towards those topics.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. And that would also explain the discrepancy by some people saying, oh no, human resources, that's a gold mine. And others saying, human resources, I would never start there. I would never go there. That's such a great point, is that it's really context sensitive and it's content sensitive, right? So if you're selling something that HR is buying, that's your conduit, that's your channel. If you're selling something that HR is not buying or they're not responsible for buying, then you're barking up the wrong tree.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a little bit about what would you say to a meeting planner or an association executive who is just having some kind of meltdown where they're like, my conference disappeared, my vendors disappeared, my sponsors disappeared. Laura, I'm talking to you about doing a program, but I'm not even sure if there are programs anymore. Or they're having an existential crisis. They're not sure kind of who they are in the landscape of member education and association meetings and association conferences. I love what you said a moment ago about, you know what? Let me handle everything. I'm taking this thing over. I'm going to make your job so easy. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to set it up, et cetera, et cetera. If they're really wondering about member education and member value and they've gotten all kinds of negative feedback, we want our live event. It wouldn't be the same if it's virtual. Some folks say, you know what? If you do a virtual event the right way, it is better than an in-person event. And others say, oh my gosh, everyone is so tired of Zoom. There's Zoom fatigue. No one wants to sit in front of a screen for 3.5 hours. How would you talk to that association meeting planner or that decision maker and make them feel not only better about a virtual event, but maybe even get them excited about having you as their virtual presenter and virtual MC and facilitator of their awesome experience?
Some of the things that have worked well for me is making it experiential. So it's not just boring, like I'm just teaching and just lecturing to them, but like making it interactive. And there's so many cool like features where you can like break people up where it might be 100 people that are on the Zoom call or the GoToMeeting call, and you break them up into a smaller group of 10 people and them having them like talk about a topic. So it kind of makes it more interactive. And so I think if you can incorporate some of those things into your conference, the other thing that has worked really well for me is sending things out like in the mail to the people that are attending the event that just like makes it more like, okay, I have something that I can feel, touch, and smell. And so just giving the meeting planner different strategies on how you can make it exciting because they're getting something physical. And then when you're actually having the event, like making it interactive, putting them in smaller groups, those are some of the strategies that I've seen that worked really well during this time. But I think the key is innovation. The people that don't innovate during this time are just, they're sinking. They're seeing their schedules just shrink to nothingness. And so being willing to innovate, being willing to be creative at how you engage. Like recently, I put together a virtual summit and I had over 10 speakers on the summit talking about how to market during these times. So I think if you have a message and you're looking at, okay, well, I can produce my own event. Like I don't even just have to solely wait on being booked. I can put up a quick page online and have people enroll, say $20 or $47 for a masterclass. I made $5,000 on one hour event just from something I put together from something I had done a long time ago. And so I think being innovative is also the key.
Absolutely. What a great example. What a great episode. Wowza. Tell you what, if you want to ramp up your revenue as an expert who speaks professionally, you should really check out our free online training at doitmarketing.com/webinar. Let me also ask you, I know one of the strategies that you teach your clients is ways to be found online.
Yes.
So I love the fact that you're doing a very healthy, very proactive sales process. You're doing your outreach, you're opening conversations, you're adding value, but you're also looking at some inbound strategies of ways to raise our visibility and credibility so we can be found online and we can be invited to some of these events. What are some of those findability strategies of, getting found online in the way that you want to be?
I think this kind of being everywhere. And there's so many different like social media tools that you can have the presence of being everywhere, even though you're not like physically sending the message on all of the posts. And so I use a program called Postcron. And so Postcron is a minimum investment that I pay every month. And then I'll make a post and then it'll go to my Twitter page, my Facebook page, my Instagram page, like all of the pages. And I'll never forget, I had one. It was a church that reached out to me and they were like, "You're always on LinkedIn." And I couldn't remember the last time I logged into LinkedIn. I was like, how am I always on LinkedIn? But it was because of these tools of automation that allow for me to appear like, okay, I'm in all of these different places and reaching all of these audiences when really it's just like one click.
So you're doing some automation, you're using some technology to help amplify your online presence.
Yes. And then also planning out a social media calendar. So, for example, if you know that at the end of next month, you're going to launch an online event, then already start seeding that this is coming. Or, like, say, for example, your focus is on what's some of the focus of your audience, would you say?
Well, it could be anything. I mean, leadership, sales, marketing, customer service, strategy, team building, innovation, all of these different things.
So I know in next month, I'm going to do a workshop on team building. So I will already start asking my audience questions. What are some of the things that y'all have noticed have worked really well with team building? What is your biggest question as it relates to team building? And so I'm kind of priming the pump of like, hey, this is coming. And so then when it gets to, all right, I'm in like primary sales mode for that upcoming virtual summit, then people are ready to talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I want to go back to your initial prospecting advice, which is to find specific conferences, associations, and groups that you want to work for. A lot of people, of course, don't do this, and they're just hoping that somehow some business will fall in their lap anytime, anywhere, any topic, any fee. What goes into your prospect qualification or pre-qualification system that would say, okay, this might be a really great place for me to present? What criteria are you looking for? And then how are you finding these online?
I think knowing who they have booked before, because I kind of have a good idea about some of the speakers that are in my same space and what their fees are. And so when I know that they have booked another speaker, then I can get a sense that they probably have a budget. Looking at the quality of the events that they have put on, that will also give me a sense of whether or not they have the budget to bring me in, so that I'm not kind of getting on the phone cold, like, do you have a budget? But I kind of already know from the background research that I've done. It also includes just setting some time out on your calendar. I know when I first got started speaking, I was like, I'm just going to put it on my website and then people would just find me. And it doesn't work that way. Like, my calendar was empty. I was hoping and wishing I put it on the website, but my phone wasn't ringing. And so I think just being willing to kind of dive in and put some elbow grease in there and just, do the work of doing the market research, of finding out what kind of events they have done in the past, and just really asking questions to gauge, like, all right, this is going to be the right opportunity for me.
Laura, I love this for so many reasons. And again, I'm going to channel people listening and what they're saying to themselves right now. And I'm sure you've heard your clients say this as well. Laura, that sounds like a lot of work. Because I'm not going to give you my response to that because I'm not sure if it's even ready for a broadcast. But what's your response to that?
I would say, you want to get paid, right? Like, you want to get paid for what you do. So yeah, you put the work in so that you get the benefit on the other side. And then for folks who like have more resources, then I would say definitely build a team. It started with just me. Like, when I first started, I was a team of one. And so I was doing all of the things, sending all of the emails, doing all of the market research myself, doing all of the market automation, setting up all of the sequences to go out. It was all me, but it was because, I was hungry and I know that I had a message that I wanted to share. And so now I'm thankful that I have done over 1,000 speaking engagements, and I've spoken like internationally. My work has been featured in the Wall Street Journal and PBS and NBC. But it started with just a hope and a dream and an empty calendar. And so now I'm thankful that I have a team of 10 staff members. And then I have staff members that particularly handle different segments of this. But if you're just getting started, it's going to be you putting in the work.
Now, we're going to back up the truck here. Here's the backup truck sound, like beep, 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 beep. Tell us about the 10 team members. Who's in the Dr. Laura organization chart and what are their jobs, just very briefly?
So I have someone that makes sales calls, like someone that is getting on the phone.
And those are more like those research calls, the way you described?
Yes. Yeah. So I will come in once it's someone that I know they have a budget and they're ready, then I'll come in. But I have someone that's asking those kind of qualifier questions of like, when are you planning this event? What is, your budget? Like, they're asking those pre-qualifier questions, so that then when I get on the phone, we're just kind of closing and we're making deposits and having those kind of conversations. I have someone on the team that handles my social media. So they're kind of creating the graphics so that, like, when you speaking begets more speaking. So when someone sees you doing an event, then you want to make a post about that. Like, I just got finished speaking at this corporation or in this conference and on this topic. If you want a speaker to talk about this, then you can book Dr. Lewis by contacting her here. So I have someone on the team that creates the graphics and sends out the post. I have an operations person that just kind of keeps everything in flow, like kind of a project. And then I have other therapists that are a part of my team as well that are like seeing clients doing like one-on-one work.
You got the whole empire going there.
Marketing, sales, operations, and then don't forget accounting. Somebody has to manage the books.
Sure.
You always have to have someone that's counting the money.
Right. Absolutely. I love that. Well, this was so valuable. Tell people, where can they get connected and stay connected to more Dr. Lewis brilliance? Where can we send people? And we're going to put these links right under this episode at thespeakingshow.com. But Laura, where can we send people? Where can we link them up to?
Sure. So I have a Facebook group. It's called Pay to Speak. It's over 3,000 speakers that's in there. I'll do like videos and I'll do Facebook Lives in there. So if you like what you heard here, then definitely check out the Pay to Speak Facebook group. And then if you want to work with me more personally, I have the Couch to Podium membership where you get a Q&A session with me every month. And so that's the space where we talk about like producing live events. In my Couch to Podium Summit, we had like over 500 people register. And so it's systems that go into building out a profitable event. And so if that's something that you're interested in, booking more speaking engagements and crafting your message so that it resonates with the people that you know you want to work with, then definitely check out the Couch to Podium membership program.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Laura Lewis, thank you. We have to have you back. We got to keep track of your adventures.
I love that.
And see where you are in the big world and kind of pre-COVID, post-COVID, after COVID, hopefully after COVID soon, right?
Right.
But thank you for sharing your brilliance with us. This was really awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Well, that wraps up another episode of The Speaking Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on iTunes. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thespeakingshow.com. See you next time.